with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Wyatt.
Here.
Sewell is absent, excused. Buns.
Present.
Lawson.
Present.
Reister.
Here. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chrissy, you're gonna give the Public Works Committee meeting?
Yep, I sure can. So the Public Works Committee met on Wednesday, October 12th. The first item that was discussed was the drainage ditch along 7th Street. We received a bid from Hudson Hardware to do the project at a cost of $19,550, which that is worst case scenario. This project will be combined with the 7th Street reconstruction project, and that is on tonight's agenda. We had 11 sewer adjustments on the agenda that we discussed, which you've already approved them in the consent agenda. And then water and sewer rate increases were also discussed. So we are recommending to increase the water and sewer rates by 5% across the board because Waterloo is going up 5%. That is on tonight's agenda to set a public hearing. And then we talked just very briefly about the comprehensive plan goals for the Public Works Committee. So that was tabled just to kind of, and that way you guys have a little more time to look through it. And then we adjourned at 7:12.
Thanks. Thanks, Chrissy.
Yep.
Any questions for Chrissy? We've got two public hearings. I'll open the public hearing for disposal of city-owned property, and this is the whole box, and it's the ground adjoining the, or it's ground between the police department and the shop. Any written comments?
No.
Any oral comments? I'll close the public hearing. Second, I'll open the public hearing on the proposed amendment to the Hudson Urban Renewal Area, and this is for the property that formerly the Triangle Tap, which is now the Sanchez and Robles La Penca restaurant. Any written comments?
No.
Any oral comments? Close that public hearing. General Government, Hudson City Council maintains the right to waive the first and second readings of the ordinances presented and may pass the third and final reading of the same ordinance within the same council meeting. Item A, discussion action to approve the second reading of Ordinance 876, an ordinance amending Chapter 65, stop or yield required, Section 65.02 of the Hudson City Code 2017 by adding stop sign number 44, and that is on East Eldora Road at some street.
Whitetail.
Okay. Have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Roll call.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Item B, discussion action to approve Resolution 2986, a resolution for approval of road closures for the Hudson High School National Honor Society event on November 3rd of 2022, and that's in the Pirate Drive and Pheasant area in the Hudson Rec.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Buns.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Item C, discussion action to approve Resolution 2987, a resolution for approval of the project for the Caldwell Ford drainage ditch project, and this is the amount of $19,550. We got a typo in the resolution itself.
Oh, okay.
It was for $19,500 in the resolution. It should be the $19,550 to match the bid.
Okay.
Sorry about not catching it.
No, that's okay.
Have a motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Reister.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Bunce.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Item D, discussion action to approve resolution 2988, a resolution setting a public hearing for November 14th regarding the water and sewer rates.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Lawson.
Aye.
Bunce.
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Item E, discussion action to approve resolution 2989, a resolution to approve the urban renewal plan amendment for the Hudson Urban Renewal Area. Again, that's for the former Triangle Tap building that we had the public hearing on. We have a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Bunce.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Item F, discussion action to approve resolution 2990, a resolution authorizing a development agreement with the Sanchez Robles LLC and authorizing internal advance for funding a forgivable loan thereunder. And this is for the $60,000 forgivable loan, to be forgivable over a 5-year period, forgivable $12,000 per year as long as they maintain the building in a good appearance as well as maintain it as a restaurant. What we're funding it out of is some excess TIF fundings that we'll recoup through that process as well. Motion to approve?
So moved?
So moved. Second, whatever.
Second, yeah. whatever.
Discussion?
So, this is new, have we done this before? But versus like a development plan?
We have not done it exactly like this.
Okay.
In the past, our development agreements have been for new construction.
Yeah.
In this situation, we have an existing building in an area, the downtown, which we had in our goal setting to try to improve that. So we have supporting documentation from them that they spent well over the $60,000 to get it, in fact, $30,000 was to get a hood so that they could operate as a restaurant. And what they have requested this, out of their total was like $95,000 of funding, they asked for 60. Their hope is that with getting this funding, it may give them the opportunity to, at some point in the future, if they can negotiate it, get the property beside them and actually expand the restaurant even further.
But in terms of setting a precedent of doing a new kind of thing like this, we're cool with that.
But yeah, I'm very cool with it because it's a precedent that has got a good established base ground. We went over it with our bonding agents and the attorneys on it, and they said this is a good way to go from this perspective on the forgivable.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll
I
call.
think it's a great idea, especially if we can help our downtown
Yep.
residents.
Yep. Thanks, Kate. Roll call.
Bunce.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Item G, discussion action to approve resolution 2991, a resolution regarding sale of property, and this is to sell the eastern portion of the property currently with our police department up to within 10 feet of the building to Dennis Holbach, and he'll simply add that then to the ground he's got the shop on. It gives them additional parking area or drive-through area and helps that business as well. And helps alleviate off-street parking or on-street parking.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion?
that's $1,000, right?
Yeah.
And is that fair market value for that?
For the fact that there's no other usage other than possibly adjoining that, it's not gonna be wide enough to ever put a building on.
That's
or
what I
anything like
had
that.
Chrissy check on, is that
Yeah.
it wouldn't be able to build on it.
Yep.
So,
Great.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Bunce.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Item H, discussion action to approve resolution 2992, a resolution for approval of agreement to complete broadband study. I'm gonna give you some background on this one before I ask for one of two motions potential. At Lori's assistance, Lori made contact with CFU, setting up a meeting where we met, Gail and I and Lori, met with CFU in their headquarters to discuss the possibility of giving CFU internet to Hudson. So we had a nice hour and a half meeting, I think, probably, with him. We talked about different ways that we would like to have it, which I asked for if we're able to have it. I'd like to see it on a turnkey basis where simply CFU extended their service area into Hudson. They weren't sure that that would work because we talked of some of the past political issues. And I said, I'd like to have an answer on that because I'm concerned that you may go to your board and the board may say, no way in the world are we gonna work with Hudson. And the consultant was there, who's with C-Band Solutions, who prepared the packet that we sent on to you. He did get from CFU, they met at the board, their answer was no, they would not provide turnkey operation into Hudson. However, they would be willing to consider providing wholesale internet bandwidth to Hudson. What that would mean is Hudson would have to have total ownership, staffing, installation, the whole shooting match from one end to the other. We mainly met with them because we continue to get questions from the residents, can't we have CFU internet? So we felt, I felt, Gail and I and Lori and Chrissy all felt, Chrissy wasn't able to attend, conflict, that we should at least pursue it to that discussion, try to get an answer back. So we did not get a hard no back, we got a hard no on being a turnkey operation. We did not get a no on the possibility of providing internet capacity, which is apparently now what they do for Rhinebeck. So Rhinebeck has its own communications utility. They have to go through, as we understand it, all of the installation, the management, the whole works on the thing. The package that we put in here is a proposal for a broadband study. And we have the resolution worded up to address what this consultant who has worked for CFU. He also did consulting to Fort Dodge, and they're going to be setting up their own communications utility. He's worked with some other towns. You may have seen some of the references in the back if you got to it. But what their firm is proposing, and unfortunately he could not be here tonight, he or his partner, but could be here at the 14th. So when I get done with a little bit more talk, I'm going to ask for a motion either to approve the study or to table it pending them being able to come up. The basics of the study is to do a computer survey of the community on what is your interest and multitude of other questions, trying to gauge, do we have a true interest or is it a few people wishing to have a different provider. They would also include it in this first study, first portion of the study, which is $31,500 plus expenses, is to also come up with an estimated cost of implementation of the utility. So we would have rough numbers. You know, I hear scary numbers out of Waterloo of $20 million. Well, I'm going to have a problem spending a lot of money for this at all. And I told him that. Well, he said the other value of having this study completed is there are other providers other than Mediacom, other than CFU, that will provide internet to communities if they see that there's enough need for it and the opportunity to sell it. What the consultant says is if we go through this study, that provides them a lot of information on that we could provide to other entities as a marketing tool. Now, from a cost perspective, I thought I had it shut off, sorry. From a cost perspective, this disbursement of $31,500 plus expenses can be covered through the ARPA funds, the rescue plan. Because the rescue plan money can only be spent on infrastructure-related projects. Now, not saying that over the next, 2 years we've got left on that we couldn't come up with something. But here is dollars that could absolutely be designated to come out of that American Rescue Plan funding. You know, and within those different items within there. They'd conduct and report a comprehensive online survey. They could also do it by mail, but they would charge an extra $5,000 to do that. And we said, if you've got an interest on the internet, you're gonna be able to do an online survey. Number 4 was develop a high-level cost estimate on a per-premise basis using some recent Iowa data. So we would have numbers. They'd use a high-level cost estimate and data gathered from the survey, model a range of business and financial parameters, and see what is there. They'd also provide guidance on the structure of a partnership between Hudson and anybody else who's interested in it. Now, doesn't mean that that would accomplish everything, but they would at least help creating what would that structure look like. And the final thing is, if a decision was to go forward and we had the study done, if we went any further, then we would need to restart the communications board, and they would also assist in that determination of what the job description would look like, what's the experiences that somebody should have, and how you get that thing to operate. So what I'm requesting, my preference would be approval to go ahead, enter into contract with these consultants in this phase 1A. If you're uncomfortable with entering into that contract now, then I would suggest, if you've got questions, tabling it until the next meeting, because Curtis and his partner both said they would be available to either be on Zoom or be here to answer any questions. From what our discussions have been with CFU staff, this entity, this guy has provided a lot of work for them in the past. I did not do any more calling to Fort Dodge or anyplace else to get any more information on it. If we did not have the American Rescue Plan funds available that have to be used on things like this, I would probably ask for a little bit more information, but on the basis that we need to research, I think it's worth it to spend that money to get the survey done and get some of these high-level cost estimates so we know exactly what the potential is.
What other things do we need to use that money for?
And how much is there left?
There's 262,000 left. We can use it on anything related to broadband and internet. We can use it on streets, or not, we cannot use it on streets, but we can, if we're replacing like water and sewer lines or utility infrastructure, we can use it on the streets. We can use it if we decide that we are going to update City Hall, we can use it on that. So we have to just be able to justify that it is COVID related. So if we are updating the ventilation system, if we're able to redo,
I don't think anything's coming to them.
well, this, and it's actually the state that told us that we could do
Yeah,
that.
I know.
So, and by spreading out, that allows for
Yep,
separation.
I hear you.
Yeah.
My question is, if we didn't spend this on this, are there other things that we would foreseeably spend the money on in the future? It sounds like the answer is yes, right?
But we don't have them on our project list.
When does that money go away?
We have to spend it by December 31st of 2024. So we have time.
My other question is, does CFU have turnkey arrangement with anyone else?
From what I understand, no, or if they do, they don't want to do anymore.
And then this is,
And I don't know if that's directly related to only at Hudson or not.
and this is probably a question for those consultants or whatever.
Yeah.
But when I think of broadband, I think, I don't know almost hardly anything about the internet, but it seems like, you know, you're talking about Starlink and other technologies that are coming where it's not gonna be broadband as much as it's gonna be satellite, whatever. And so, is broadband gonna be a technology that's around for 50 years, or, yeah?
I don't see a lot of people in town going to the satellite. I know when I priced it, living rural, it was just out of line.
We looked at it too, and it's trash right now, but I'm
You
just
don't get
thinking,
you don't get the megabytes, you don't get the reception.
I'm just wondering if that's gonna pick up here in the next 5-10 years, to a point where that would tip the scales.
But I still think it's gonna be cost prohibitive for the common consumer.
Okay.
You know, that would be the only thing in town where maybe you can disperse that cost across 400, 500 residents versus a single, so.
Well, and right now, we've got, who is it that we've got on for internet here, Chrissy?
We have, United Private Networks with
But
fiber.
that's fiber, which is increasing our speed, but they're only focused on commercial businesses right now. Now, my hope would be that if we have this study done, and it appears to be a significant volume of desire, that maybe they find somebody to partner with that will do the extension of the residential businesses off of their fiber backbone that they've already got running through Blackhawk Mutual and down here to Municipal, and we're connected, the police department's, Colwell's connected, and a few others.
My other question was, as 4K turns into 5K, turns into 8K, and everyone's downloading everything all the time, does capacity that will be, or does usage increase? I assume that it will, but just common people, our usage, whatever megabytes per second or whatever it is, will go up and up and up because the technology's getting finer and finer and all that stuff. And so, does broadband, would this have the ability to expand with that demand, or do you put it in and it's kind of fixed and then?
Well, and that'd be a case of, go ahead, Katie.
Coda Emmett that's on just wrote, broadband is an overarching term that includes FTTP, which is what the majority of networks are built on today, as they cost far less to maintain and provide more reliability.
Is Coda from this group?
He's from,
Coda actually lives on Butterfield.
Lives here somewhere in town, but
And
he
he-
works for
He
CFU.
is a network engineer with CFU who's already offered up the, hey, if we get something going here,
Okay,
he'd love to be on the board or any other involvement, even if it's simply discussion
okay,
prior to that.
cool.
So George,
Thank you, Coda.
in amongst your conversation with CFU.
Yep.
And I know their board said no, but, you know, like anybody, they're looking at numbers.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, we can turn out a big number. Is that something we could present back to CFU
Oh,
after
yeah,
that
we would,
study?
and that's the other thing, is if we have these numbers, then we can walk up to CFU and say, hey, here's the numbers. Do you have any different interest than you expressed before? And I think it's critical that we have such a number. CFU isn't gonna come down here and run numbers.
Yeah.
They're gonna want to have numbers given to them. So will anybody else, up to a point. And this can give us a good baseline of interest and baseline in numbers, in my opinion.
We also asked when we were at the meeting, the possibility of offering video. And,
Oh, as far as the cable TV.
yeah,
is,
and they said no, a lot of the, like Fort Dodge that talked about it, but they decided people are downloading, they're streaming
Yeah,
more
yeah.
so than they're wanting like
So it's-
cable, so we,
So
yeah.
it's simply
They said-
internet capacity.
yeah,
That's all they're
probably,
interested
yeah.
in providing.
So I would move that we do this agreement.
I'd second the motion.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Reister,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Bunce.
Aye.
Wyatt had to jump off, but she is a yes.
Okay.
Somebody else
And
can.
Lori is a yes.
Motion carries.
See ya, have safe
Aye.
travels.
Is 63 open?
No, I haven't heard anything. You're the second person I asked.
Okay, informational items, you got a few of them in there. Reminder items, regularly scheduled meetings held at council chambers except for the library board. Public Safety Committee, October 27th at 5:30 PM, it's after the business boo, right? Mayor's Task Force, November 15th at 5 PM, may or may not happen. Public Works Committee, November 16th at 7 AM. Personnel Admin Finance Committee, November 28th at 4:45. Next council meetings, November 14th and November 28th at 6 PM. Do I have a motion to adjourn, since Matt's not here?
So moved?
Second?
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned, 6:25.